run. I mean, to me, I believe the Cavs, as now with this trade, as constructed, I kind of agree, Vashon, in the chat room. We've talked about this a lot the last few weeks. The Cavs are in the top 4 and 5 teams because you cannot forget about Washington and Charlotte. Those are some young teams surging up. You know what I mean? Those teams, and Washington added Pierce, a veteran there to add to kind of bring those young guys down a bit. Those guys are charging. And you're still, obviously Indiana tumbles. We talked about that the other day, but Miami's still up there. I don't care. I know people go, well, they're done. They're not done. I'm not saying they're a championship team, but they're still one of the better teams in the East as they're constructed right now. So, you're still going to have them in the equation. Obviously, you still got the upper teams in the East. Indiana tumbles, but there comes Charlotte and Miami kind of storming up, just like Cleveland, for those spots, though. So you're going to have a lot of competition. I think that the East is going to be a lot more competitive, even if the Cavs get through it. Hey, look at what's coming out on the other side. Most likely it's going to be the Spurs or some team that beats the Spurs. So I don't know if you can sit here realistically and go, yeah, these guys are just going to win a championship here the first year. I think they have a run. I think they go relatively deep and they learn about each other and they learn about their strengths and weaknesses as a team. Even the Heat didn't win it all in their first year. And I know some people are going to get mad, but I stick with what I say. I believe now, at this stage of their careers, this threesome is not as good as Bosh, Wade, and James at that stage of their careers. Close, but not as good. Wade was clearly superior to Kyrie at that point, and I believe Kevin Bosh, combine the two. I believe Kevin Love is behind where Chris Bosh was at that point in his career. Not by a huge margin, but there is a margin between where D. Wade was in 2010 and where Kyrie Irving is now. You got to say that. He had already won a championship by that point in time. So that threesome was more ready to win than this threesome. That does not mean that the Cavaliers a year, 3 years down the line here as they grow together will not have a run, because they will. There's some talent there. But to just expect them to do it the first year, to me, is it's fool's gold. And especially sit back, enjoy the ride. Watch these guys grow together. Watch these guys learn about each other. Have some fun. We haven't been to the playoffs in a while, so enjoy the run. Let's see. Hey, I'm not saying don't try to win it all. Hell, if you can do it, go do it. But I think it's much more realistic to say within 2-3 years you'll be there. You'll get it done. And then how long can you sustain it? That's the upside of this thing, is even if it takes you 2 years, 3 years to climb the mountain, you've got your core locked in. Now, I have got to assume, again, the X factor being LeBron here, you've got to think he does not ask Kevin Love to commit for 5 years to Cleveland if he's not sticking around for at least that period of time. So, but as long as he leaves himself the out, there's always going to be the question. But you've got to think, because to me, that goes beyond just leaving teams. When you're getting people to commit to their future for things that you're specifically asking them to do, you do have a commitment to your peers. And I know that doesn't matter to some guys. Hey, LeBron wants to walk, he's going to walk. But I do believe that this threesome, I don't know about any of the other pieces around them, but this group is going to be together for the next at least 4-5 seasons. So how long can they turn that run into? That's more the way you guys got to look at it, rather than how quickly will they win the first one. I saw some people, and I get the excitement. I saw one guy say, hey, man, Richard Murphy on our Facebook page, 70 wins, man, that's the goal. Bill Bray said they get to the finals but get beat by the Spurs. No way they beat the Spurs. A lot of people have felt that this team, as it is now, good enough to get through the East, but not to beat whatever team comes out of the West. I say Chicago is still going to be a tough out for anybody in the East. I got to say that if I'm not picking Cleveland, like if I take the home team thing out of it and you said pick any team, that would be the team that I would say has as good or better, because they've been through the wars. They've added a piece. Exactly. I see Chris in the chat room says it takes a year or two for this team to come together. And I think that's the difference. When you play a team, when two teams play, no matter what the level of talent, and it's going to be pretty close, it's in those game 6s and game 7s, it's the teams that know each other so well, where guys are on the court, who's got your back on defense, who all of that. It's knowing all of those intricacies about your teammates that gets you through at the end of a series when the talent is relatively equal. So that's what this team is missing. Hey, maybe they can surprise the world and go out there and do it in the first year, but I don't see it. I see it much like Miami. You get most of the job done, you fall short. You look around and go, okay, we learned a lot this year. We learned about this, this, and this. I know how he plays defense now. I know, hey, here's what we need. We need a rim protector, which they need that right now as it is. But then you get that piece. You go find a veteran to come in and you make a run next year, and then how long can you extend the run is the way to go. But obviously, you look at this trade completely different when Kevin Love makes that commitment than without it. Without it, I just thought, man, you are taking a real chance. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And maybe it pays off, maybe it doesn't. And I joked yesterday, it's that scarred Cleveland fan mentality that makes you say, no, it's not going to pay off. But that's a hell of a chance to take with your franchise. This makes it much different. I mean, and Minnesota gets a good return because you do have to trade to get. I mean, whether people like everybody wants to trade garbage and get gold, but that's not the way it works. And, you know, you're not trading them your scraps to get Kevin Love. Clearly, they're taking on potential, and that's what they're going for. They're taking on the potential of, which I'm telling you, Anthony Bennett, comeback player of the year next year. I really hate that both of those pieces have to go because I was really excited as a basketball fan watching the growth of Andrew Wiggins and watching the continued recovery and resurgence of Anthony Bennett. So those guys, two good young pieces that in a few years could be part of the resurgence of the Minnesota Timberwolves and a future first-round draft pick. And I will caution you guys, don't ever be like that guy. I had a guy tell me the other day, and I get this a lot. Well, the first-round pick doesn't mean anything because we're going to be in the finals, so it's going to be one of the lowest in the first round. Who needs the last pick in the first round? And I will tell you that championship teams do. I don't know where this belief came that the only place you can get players in the NBA draft is in the first 3 or first 5 picks of the draft, and everything else after that is just guys that play, you know, in the D League or whatever. That's what the Cavs did the last time LeBron was here, and that's why they didn't have the. I mean, that's what you got to do, especially when you're capping out your team with your stars. You got to hit on the draft. You got to get role players. Look at San Antonio. Look at the ways they put that team together. The teams that look at their first round draft picks and go, well, we're drafting 25th. We're drafting 29th. It's no big deal if we trade that. Well, it is if you trade them 3 out of 4 years and you end up with a dearth of young talent. Young, affordable talent, by the way, because that's the other key. The NBA rookie contracts are the best deal in all of sports. So when you're giving those away, it's easy to say, well, who needs a late first round pick? I'm telling you that the good teams do. And, you know, whether you turn those picks into a veteran or whether you draft the young guys, I mean, say what you want. He may have faded towards the end, but Norris Cole played big parts in the Miami Heat and their run that they had there, and he was drafted late. I mean, I know it was a sign and trade deal that they did at the end of the draft there, but, you know, again, to me, championship teams don't throw away draft picks just because they're late in the draft, and I think that's like a fallacy of some fans that the only draft picks that matter are the first couple of picks in the first round, and that's it. Now, I agree that most of the players in the draft don't pan out, but there's a lot that do. We've gone through second round. We did that last year for the draft. We went through all the second round picks that have hit on teams, and there's another one that some teams are quick to give away. But anyways, I just that bothers me when people go, the first round pick doesn't mean anything, and it does. Even whether it's first or whether it's last, it does mean something. But either way, much different feeling about the trade for the simple fact that you at least have time to grow. Now, can they? Can they grow together? Can they put a team together that wins? That's the challenge on the Cavs. If they don't, it's an indictment on a lot of people that tried to put this together. But it at least gives you a window. That's much harder to argue with than, well, we're going to take a shot, and if it don't work out, let's cross our fingers and hope everybody comes back next year. Still, you know, we'll have to wait. This is something that won't just be judged 6 months from now. This will be judged 6 years from now. So we're going to take a break, but again, a fired up feeling here. The Indians, they said, hey, you're not the only ones with announcements here. We've got some too. Tribe, I'm going to talk about that when we come back, even though last night, another tough loss for the Tribe, 2 in a row in Cincy. They got to win one here to split this foursome, but the Larry Doby statue. So long I've waited for this. Not just me, tons of people. We'll talk about that, all the changes to the stadium and all that. Your takes and more. Don't go anywhere. The Sports Fix on the air. Cleveland feeling good, and rightfully so. Cleveland feeling good about itself today. Like I said, you got to go back a couple of decades, not just sports, but in general, to feel the I don't even know, whatever it is, to feel it. Bam, it's there. Cleveland. Drink it in. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Talking some Indians, John McMullen, talking Browns, and so much more. The Sports Fix has just begun, baby.
Keep on getting on. Gotta make it happen. Come on, girl. Gotta make it happen. Come on, girl.
The Sports Fix, the show that asks the question,
what you talking about, Lou? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou?
We'll be right back.
Before we go to the break, guys, I want to talk to you just a second about our friends at GV Art and Design. Baseball's here once again. Cleveland, of course, excited, and GV Artwork teaming up with the Indians, and they're both going to knock it out of the park this season. And listen to some of the new designs they've got for Cleveland baseball fans everywhere. They've dug out an old classic, and they're bringing the heat with the new Wild Thing, Give 'em the Heater Ricky design. GV Artwork is teaming up with Cleveland fan favorite Michael Brantley and created a custom Dr. Smooth t-shirt. Plus, don't forget, they've got the Cleveland That I Glove collection, new tribal and Cleveland That I Love designs for women, and so much more. You can get GV Artwork designs on the website, gvartwork.com. And don't forget to use the sales code FIX10, that's FIX10, and you'll save 10% on your purchase. Or you can check out their new store in Lakewood on Detroit Avenue. Check them out in the Indians team shops and so much more. Cleveland That we all love, GV Art and Design. It's not just a shirt, it's a statement.
Hey, Sports Fix fans, I'm Fred McLeod, TV voice for the Cavaliers. When I'm not busy taking elbows from my buddy Austin Carr, I'm tuning in to see what the guys are saying.
Come on, Cavs.
The engines are cranking and purring, and that can only mean one thing. Bike nights are back at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. Rev up your hogs and head on down to Harry Buffalo North Olmsted every Monday night. Enjoy $3 drinks and beers, $5 pizzas, and crazy wing specials for all bikers, all on their open patio. Hot bikes, good friends, and great times are waiting for you. 4824 Great Northern Boulevard, right outside Great Northern Mall. Monday bike nights at Harry Buffalo, the proud sponsor of the Sports Fix. Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
At the corner of Carnegie and Ontario, it's basketball time at the Q. Cleveland rocks!
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Milo hit a three-pointer on the sideline!
In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book.
Joe Gray, Fred McLeod, Hector Marinero.
Discussing the most intimate and sometimes controversial details of the largest moments in our town's sports history.
The Indians have won the divisional title.
A perfect game for Len Barker.
What a win for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their first time in a playoff.
It's the first book written from the players' point of view, with the media that covered it and the fans that watched. Finally, the true stories are told, from a miracle in Richfield to the NBA Finals.
The Detroit Pistons have been booby-trapped.
From a perfect game to a World Series one pitch from victory. From a Wildcat High School dynasty to the golden days of the Browns, Barons, and Crunch, this book will change the way the entire sports nation looks at Cleveland.
Cleveland, you will have an October to remember.
Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck, home of the low price tire guarantee. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Indian fever, it's catching fire with everyone.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live.